From the Lakeside Newsroom of the Henrico Citizen, your hometown news source since 2001, this is the Henrico News Minute with publisher Tom Lapis.
New laptops, new money, a new name for a middle school field, and much more from yesterday's Henrico School Board meeting, and a big night for a Glen Allen native on the ice. We'll have details in today's packed Henrico News Minute. It's the end of the week, Friday, April 23rd, 2021. It's brought to you today by Henrico County's Department of Public Utilities.
And now for the news.
Henrico County will host its first public walk-up COVID-19 vaccination event designed specifically for immigrant, refugees, and minority populations on Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m. at Richmond Raceway. County officials made the announcement yesterday during an online press briefing. Deputy Henrico County Manager for Community Affairs Monica Callahan said, quote, "We want to eliminate those barriers and provide access to the vaccine. That is why we felt it very important to be able to have a clinic," end quote. Now, though county officials and those from the Richmond and Henrico health districts have made targeted outreach efforts to inform members of the specific communities about Sunday's opportunity, anyone who fits those demographics will be able to walk up and be vaccinated as long as supplies last. Officials are reserving between 400 and 500 doses for the event. The idea for it grew from the desire to provide vaccine access to members of communities that have been harder hit by the virus and less likely to pre-register or less able to do so. Those who come will not have to provide any identification, but they will be asked to provide their first and last names, birth dates, race or ethnicity, and their address, according to Callahan. Attendees should enter the Raceway complex at the main gate at the intersection of East Laburnum Avenue and the Richmond-Henrico Turnpike, not at Gate 4, the entrance that's being used for all other vaccinations at the site. If the event is successful, Callahan said the county would plan to host others like it. The announcement comes as the RHHD nears the end of its list of vaccine pre-registrations. Only about 10,000 people in Henrico and Richmond who have pre-registered have not yet been scheduled for an appointment, according to RHHD Nurse Manager Amy Popovich. At the same time, the districts have increased their proactive approach to identifying and reaching out to people who haven't pre-registered or been vaccinated yet. They're using data mapping to triangulate specific areas in both jurisdictions that have low vaccination rates, high COVID case counts, and high social vulnerabilities, Popovich said. To date, about 39% of people 16 and older in the two localities have gotten at least one dose of vaccine, and about a quarter are fully vaccinated. At the end of its 6-hour meeting yesterday, the Henrico School Board voted unanimously to rename the Quioccasin Middle School athletic field in memory of Lucia Bremer, the 13-year-old QMS student who was murdered last month. The field will now be known as Lucia Bremer Memorial Field, following a request from QMS Principal Melanie Phipps, who in a 5-page letter to the board cited comments from 33 people or families who also urged the name change. Bremer played soccer for the school and for the Richmond Strikers organization. In bringing Phipps's recommendation to her board colleagues, Tuckahoe District member Marcy Shea became emotional, fighting back tears with her voice shaking as she recalled Bremer, who she knew personally. Also, at yesterday's busy school board meeting, the board accepted nearly $35 million in new federal funding as part of the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief 2 funding effort. That's money being provided to local school systems for pandemic relief as part of the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2020. And thanks to the recent passage of the American Rescue Plan Act, the school system expects to receive another $78 million in the coming months, also from the feds. The money approved yesterday by the board will be used in 3 key areas during the coming 2 fiscal years, the first of which begins July 1st. About $8.5 million will be used for personnel, where it'll fund 15 positions for elementary reading specialists, 30 school counselor positions, and 13 elementary library assistant positions. Another $17 million will be used for operations and will help fund the purchase of 52 new school buses and 10 new minivans, as well as additional hotspots and added bandwidth for students, new security vestibules for 10 schools, and HVAC repairs and replacements at others, among other items. Another $9 million will be used for instructional resources, including for summer school instruction and transportation, as well as pre-K through 12th grade literacy program materials. Funding for some of those items, such as $4.7 million for school buses, already was included in the capital improvement budget that the Board of Supervisors adopted earlier this month, so school officials are going to work with general government officials to determine how or whether to reallocate that money in the coming fiscal year budget. And Henrico High School students and staff members will carry lighter, more powerful laptops with them when school begins again in the fall, thanks to a new 4-year lease agreement approved yesterday by the school board. The $20.1 million contract with Virginia-based Electronic Systems, Inc. will provide the Dell 5420 Latitude laptop to all high school students and employees. Each one weighs just less than 3 pounds, which is lighter than the current models, and has 16 gigabytes of RAM, about twice what the current machines do. That's according to Henrico School's technology director Brian Maddox. Each one also has the i5 10th generation processor, which is the latest available. The school system will make 4 annual payments of just more than $5 million as part of the agreement. In a separate contract, the board authorized nearly $5 million for the refresh of its middle school computer network. The $4.8 million deal will fund Cisco networking hardware replacement and installation and configuration services for 12 middle schools and 14 other school facilities. It'll include one access point in every classroom, essentially doubling the current networks. It'll also result in improvements in connectivity, performance, and security, as well as available bandwidth. It should be totally installed by the middle part of August. The school system is making a lump sum payment for the 6-year deal, which will mean that it ends up being about $300,000 less than the current 6-year deal. Also at yesterday's meetings, officials proposed the creation of 2 new specialty centers, one at Hermitage High School and another at Varina High School. The one at Hermitage would focus on allied health and medical services, while the Varina Center would focus on environmental science and sustainability. If approved by the board, they could open as soon as the fall of 2022. A financial update about the proposal is expected next month. Also yesterday at the meeting, the board heard plans for the proposed Henrico Virtual Academy, the virtual approach to school that they'll offer to students who want to remain in virtual mode in the fall. Families will need to apply for the program, but Superintendent Amy Cashwell said the school system is not planning to limit how many people can participate in the program. It's only asking that they commit for the full year. There are still a number of details yet to be worked out about the proposal and what it will look like. Officials are planning to hire a principal who will oversee the program. And more from the school board meeting. You can see why it was 6 hours long. The board voted 4-1 to name Roscoe Cooper its chair for the rest of the year. The position was vacated by Three Chop District member Mickey Ogburn earlier this month. She gave up the title in the wake of backlash to her decision to share a racist Facebook post about Dr. Seuss. She quickly deleted it last month and said she hadn't fully read it initially. Yesterday, Tuckahoe District member Marcy Shea, the vice chair of the board, nominated Cooper for the chairmanship. And then following a 4-minute speech of her own, Varina District board member Alicia Atkins nominated herself. She then cast the only dissenting vote on Cooper's nomination, but had concluded her remarks by saying that, quote, regardless of who's the chair, we're all going to work together moving forward, end quote. It was a big night last night for Glen Allen native Zach Jones. He made his National Hockey League debut for the New York Rangers in their game against the Philadelphia Flyers, and in so doing, he became the first player born in the Richmond area ever to play in the NHL. He is a 5'10" defenseman, was the 68th pick in the 2019 NHL draft, and signed with the Rangers earlier this month, just days after finishing his collegiate career at UMass, which culminated when that team won an NCAA championship. He played just fewer than 10 minutes in last night's game, a 3-2 loss to the Flyers, and was able to take 3 shots on goal. Jones's father, Rob, arrived in Glen Allen in 1992 after taking a job as the equipment manager for the Richmond Renegades, former minor league hockey team that played in the East Coast Hockey League here. Yesterday, Henrico County officials gathered to officially open the extension of the Virginia Capitol Trail through Dorey Park. It's a 10-foot wide path that runs along the eastern side of the park for about 3/4 of a mile and connects to the Capitol Trail. Today's Henrico News Minute has been brought to you by the Henrico County Department of Public Utilities, which is encouraging you to look for leaks. If you have a high water bill, it's possible that you have a leak that you're not aware of. Check for dripping faucets, toilets, and showers, and walk around your yard to see if water is pooling anywhere. You also can check your crawl space and garage. For details, visit henrico.us/utility/high-water-bill-2.